All right, so this is this is the device that I have on my desk, and I'm gonna edit this part of the live stream, and I'm gonna put this out there as a YouTube video for other people that are researching the hardware that I recommend for live streaming. And because when you go out there and you've never streamed before, your number one resource is YouTube to go look on who's using what and why and maybe what to avoid. And I'm telling you without a doubt, if you're going to stream, this is your baby. Now they have two, again, I stream live. You can right here. I'm going to edit the video, so I'm pointing right here. There we go. I'm pointing right there. Twitch.tv/JohnFly. Twitch.tv/JohnFly. Join us. I stream most weekends and sometimes during the week. I fly planes and I drive trucks. And sometimes I just talk like Barry White. No. So this is the GOXLR Mini, and I'm going to unbox it here. We are going to have a few questions here as we go along about the microphone that I'm using, the SM7B, which I also recommend. All right, mouth direction toward mic. They say that you're supposed to talk off to the side of it. Some people. So if I move that like that, it's now pointed that direction. Does that? I don't even know if that makes a difference, but. Sometimes you drive planes and fly trucks. That is very true, Black Sheep. That is very true. Mouth direction toward mic. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and unbox this. I'm going to get just a scissors here. Actually, I'll just use the old Phillips. Don't recommend cutting the tape with a flathead screwdriver, but it was there and easily accessible. So just so you know, this GOXLR Mini also has a bigger brother called just the GOXLR, and it's got more features and it's larger. But for my purposes, I didn't need the features that it gives you. So that's why I went with the Mini. And because, again, as I was saying earlier, I have two different studios. I have a trucking racing studio where I have the wheel set up and the pedals. And then I'm broadcasting to you tonight from the flight simulation studio where I have the joystick, the rudder pedals, the throttle, all of the radio panels, autopilot panels, etc. So normally I just would unplug the GOXLR and take it over to the other studio if I was doing, Friday night or Saturday night trucking. Well, I got sick and tired of walking the 3 feet and unplugging all the cables. So that's why we got the second one. But I also wanted to talk through this as I unboxed it. So, here we go. Nice styrofoam. It does come with a USB cable. Now, I will give you a bit of advice. This is the same cable that you would use for a printer, for example. You would plug this into this end and into the back of the printer, and then it has USB on the other side. But what some printer cables don't have is this filter. I'm telling you right now, you want to use this cable and this cable only, or another cable that has that same filter. I'm assuming it's just a bunch of, I don't know, what is it, guys? Are they like ferrite beads in there or something? But I think it's going to provide you some protection on interference coming back through the system. I don't know all the details, but yeah. So you want to use the cable that came with it, and don't use a cable that doesn't have this ferrite. Yeah, ferrite core. Yeah, you don't want to do that. It's for filtering and yeah. So use that. I should know this from my ham radio. You're right. I just wasn't sure. I use ferrite coils on my coax for transmitting. I just didn't know if that was the same technology that would be used on a non-transmitting device. Now, you get some nice styrofoam. you get a very important manual that talks about the setup. And then again, styrofoam here. Great styrofoam. Yep, it's styrofoam. And then here you got your plastic, which I will need some scissors for. Ferrite cores, that's disgusting. You mean ferret? So, whenever you're going to buy a piece of electronics, I would recommend that you try to keep it as intact as possible in case you need to return it for, whether it's, it could arrive on, DOA may not work when you plug it in. You want to keep all of your plastic as presentable as possible for those people that review the returns. So yeah, let's take it out of let's unravel it. So there it is. And I'm actually talking through one of these through this Shure SM7B. Now, I'll do a close-up of it. There is, when I first got the other one, I looked at the surface of this and it was all scratched up. In fact, this one has a huge scratch across the surface. And I was like annoyed. I was like, man, you would think that the quality assurance department would have caught that. But then I realized it says in blue fancy writing, remove protective film. So you have this film that you can pull off and it'll be all glossy and fine and not scratched. But what I learned the other night is that D-Money's 327 and I have a little bit of, I'm not going to use that word I used the other night, but we have this, I'm almost going to call it OCD, where we keep plastic on things for a severely long time. In fact, my SciTech panels sitting right down here still have plastic on the frequency screens, it looks like. D-Monies and I have TVs that have plastic around the edges, and other people may too, but I leave the plastic on forever. And then in 2 or 3 years, I will peel it off, and it'll feel like a brand new device. So there you go. That's my tip of the night. Leave your film on for later purposes. So continuing on, you've got 4 sliders. Now on the Big Brother GOXLR, you have, these are mechanical. And so these will actually move, they'll move on their own from the software. And there's little motors inside, right? But to save money on the GOXLR Mini, that it's not motorized. You have to move all these sliders individually, but they feel really good. There's a lot of nice smooth tension on these. It doesn't feel cheap. I like it. And you have 4 of them, right? And on the top, on the Big Brother of, not the Mini, but the big one, it has actually displays where you can change the names because you can choose which inputs go where, right? So you've got mic, chat, music, and system, right? But you could change these, right? One of these could be your game volume, right? Your flight simulator, or your Call of Duty, or your PUBG, or whatever. You can change the volume independently, so the stream's gonna hear a lot of the game, or a little bit of the game, or not so much of the game, right? You can also be talking to your friends on Discord, and you can say, "Oh, I like what they're saying. I'll keep the volume up. Oh, maybe I don't like what they're saying. Maybe they're laughing too much, or yelling too much, or overmodulating. Maybe they just don't sound good." You can turn them down like that. Or maybe you just want them to be in the background because you're egotistical or something. I don't know. You have options. And then, of course, your mic volume. As you can see here, I'm adjusting, as you see back on the software here, right? If I adjust that. So right there, again, I can adjust the microphone volume. And then I can tie in music, chat, and then there's an overall system volume, right? But it's very handy. You could also, in the software, you can tell the game to only go to the game device that's inside here. So each one of these show up as separate devices in Windows. It's fantastic. So, you know how you change from your headphones to your speakers to whatever in Windows. Well, when you install the software and you plug these in, you suddenly have a ton of new devices from an audio perspective. And then in the software, you can route. As you can see here on this screen, I can route everything to the stream. I can bring in the game, the music, the chat, the line in, the system, and I can even have the music just play for me and not the stream, or I can have the music go to the stream. There's all kinds of options. This line in is very handy. Let me talk about the back here for a second. So, as you can see on the back there, you've got an XLR input. You've got a line in and a line out. You've got the USB that you plug in. Wow, they're jamming out upstairs. And then that you also have something that I'll never use. It's an optical input, and it has a picture of a little Xbox controller. And yeah, that's weird. The Xbox controller, optical. I don't know what you'd use that for. I guess if you had optical audio or whatever. Now, what I use that input for. So I plug this SM7B into the XLR input, and then right next to that 3.5 millimeter jack, I plug in this cable. Oh, you guys can't see it because it's plugged in, but basically it's an iPhone Lightning adapter to 3.5 millimeter male to male, and I plug that in, and now I can plug in my iPhone, and so I could FaceTime someone, and the audio from FaceTime, audio or video, or a phone call, it would be piped into the stream via this routing. I could also play music from the iPhone. I could anything on the phone, audio, whatever. I can have that injected into the mix, into the stream mix. Isn't that amazing? It's so handy. I mean, it's really cool. So again, a traditional mixer and an XLR microphone to me is a minimum for a streamer to have good audio. Now you can get away with a USB microphone without a mixer, but it just sometimes doesn't sound as good. But to have the ability to change these inputs on the fly and adjust volumes is a very tremendous tool. Now, across the bottom, you also have mutes. So if, like, say, I could just, when I was changing the microphone, when I was going between the Sennheiser E83 and the SM7B microphone to test them, I was muting it as I unplugged it because you don't want to hear the unplugging of the cables and plugging back in. So I just hit that button to mute. I could be chatting to someone on Discord and then suddenly they drop F-bombs and I could just hit that. And you can also mute music and you can mute your system. And you can also tell these sliders to be something else too. So, I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities. The other thing too is if just below the mute buttons here, the other night I was playing with this, it has a sensor button. So this sensor button right here, it's labeled with the, exclamation at pound, $, question mark, asterisk, whatever. That's a sensor button, right? I'll hit it right now on the GOXLR that I'm talking through. I think this unboxing and review is a bunch of and I think that people are going to get they're going to think that I'm so, and then you can also do Morse code, right? So because we all like Morse code. Like I'm going to spell my friend here, his name's Dogo DR. I'm going to spell his name in Morse code. That's his name in Morse code. Is there anyone else that wants their name in Morse code? So yeah, the GOXLR Mini. Again, if you're streaming now and you streamed for a while and you're using something else, drop it like it's hot and go with this and get a good XLR microphone, and you're going to sound better and you're going to have a lot more control over all of your stream situation. Again, I stream on twitch.tv/JohnFly. So come over from YouTube, my family, YouTube family, come over to my Twitch live stream and let's talk. It's a great piece of equipment. I think that's the first unboxing I've ever done live.